Hey guys, we're back with another video. It's, as you can see, Black Clover, Asta, Uchiha. This is basically one of another, like the Tanjiro what if that I did. It's basically like that. It's basically like that. Like, yeah, right. So the the Uchiha series, which I'm gonna call this now, is basically me giving all the Uchihas that I have knowledge of and their powers, giving it to a certain character, and also by doing that, I give him two extra abilities of my choice, which in my choice would be anti-magic and a light magic, because they're the most interesting magic of the series and the one that I like the most. So yeah, and I think the Tanjiro was doing a little good. It wasn't that, like, it wasn't award worthy, but it wasn't bad, if you understand what I'm saying. So let's get into this video. I don't know if you can hear the music, so I'm gonna bring it a little closer. So let's talk about Asta's heritage. Asta was born to the queen of the Clover Kingdom. The queen of the Clover Kingdom, but the queen of the Clover Kingdom had a disease, as in anyone that was close to her, she would drain their mana and life force. And by the way, this spoiler alert. So actually, this what I just said was true, but she wasn't. But in the original canon, we don't know if she's the queen. I really don't actually know much about her because we only got to that point about 3 weeks ago in the manga. So yeah. But we do know Asta's mother had a disease where she absorbed the mana and life force of other people, so she had to give Asta to the orphanage. But I'm gonna say this awakened way later in life, so Asta would be born and she would have stayed queen for a little bit, and then she would carry Asta to Hajj village. There he would be left at the church with Yuno. But this time, Asta had a necklace that had the insignia for the royal family and diamonds surrounding the royal family insignia. The the priest, I just still can't remember his name. I'm sorry. He he took in Asta, and everything from there happened to canon. Asta, during his life, he realized that he had this strange ability to create wood out of his hands, and he then used it to fix the house, fix the church, and give them a mansion and another house, and fix the church. He also went to the village and started helping around the village, actually creating trees around the village and covering it, so it would be better for other people. Hard villagers actually really adored and loved Asta because he was helping them with their crops and growing resources. So Asta was basically helping agriculture. Around this time, he also had another strange ability, which was Kamui, but he just flew through the portal one day. The portal just opens up and he flew through. He ended up in some forest where he met Asta, Noel, and Mimosa. They were just talking, and Noel was kind of sad about how her family was teaching her. They found Asta, and Asta encouraged Noel to keep on striving and keep on trying to be the best she could be. They then made a promise for them to marry us, for Asta to marry them after having a long day. So it was actually about 6 days that Asta was left Hajj village. Then the portal opened up again, and Asta told him that he had to leave because this is where he came true. And Asta left. But before he left, he gave them a ring, and he told them the ring will, if you ask the ring if he still loves them, the ring would glow a bright white color. And then when he gave the rings and put it on their fingers, a small flower came out of the ring, and Asta left. Then when he came back, he saw that Yuno was being attacked by the drunk man, and he ended up beating the man and saving Yuno. Then we time skip. We goes to the grimoire ceremony. Asta is going to the grimoire ceremony and just overall just being there. He goes with Yuno, and Yuno looks up to Asta but still has the same personality that he did in canon. Asta, when getting to the ceremony, everything happens to canon, but when Asta was supposed to receive his grimoire, when Asta reached his hands out for a grimoire, a 6-leaved grimoire came bursting out of the wall and just came, well, a 5th-leaf grimoire and came bursting out of the wall. When Asta touched the grimoire turned black with golden marks on the book. Then it had on the clover, which was a 6-leaf clover, which really didn't make sense, but they didn't even really care. Had a 6-leaf clover. One half of it was white, and the other half was red. And when Asta checked the book, he said that he realized that the book had chapters to it, as in he had a multitude of spells that even made it had to have chapters to actually hold a specific spell. Asta was happy to see it nonetheless. Then we go to where the I don't really know his name. Where the nobles attack Asta and Yuno. So they tried to attack Asta and Yuno, but it ended up failing because it's Asta and Yuno. What you thought was going to happen. Asta left, and Asta beat the nobles and just completely wrecked their whole entire existence. Oh, side note. I will be doing today the part 3 to what if Asta had light magic. What if Asta had light magic? So yeah, note that. Anyways, maybe actually I don't even fulfill promises on this channel, so don't even trip. Anyways, I love that song. Anyways, then the chain mage came. And when the chain mage came to attack Asta, it didn't work. Asta just pulled out a sword out of his grimoire that he just instantly did and swept away the sword, the chain magic. Well, then Asta pulled out, then he shoved back the sword, but he didn't realize that the chain mage was still conscious. Then, when he turned his back, the chain mage got up and shot a chain at him. Asta went for his grimoire, and he did get it. And he pulled out a fan. You know what? The Gunbai. He pulled out the Gunbai, which was, as you know, Madara's fan. He pulled out and he swinged it, and a huge gust of wind blew back the chain mage and kinda absorbed some of its magic. Asta then went off to train. Training then went up. No, he went to the village. They were also having elections today, so they were electing who was going to be the new chief of the village. And to cut the story, the priest won. So the priest is the new chief of the village. But I still went into the mansion and went to his room and looked at his grimoire. He opened his grimoire and he saw that it had chapters, and the chapters were labeled. The first chapter was skills. He realized that he had something called the skill of body flicker, cool substitution, standing on walls and water, transformation, mana control, swordsmanship, hand-to-hand combat, good reflexes, understanding and doing things And yeah. And the ability to sense mana and other stuff like it. You can even sense ki. You see, as a child, Asta always had this weird ability. His eyes sometimes with turn deep red with 3 to more in it, and he could see mana and chakra and sometimes ki, but he could always see it from a very long distance away. It was actually kind of weird because it was different from all the rest of the manas that he saw, but he didn't really pay any attention to it. So yeah. Asta, he also had an ability called a motion sensing and a regeneration ability. He also had a Alright. Then he went to the second chapter, visual prowess. His visual prowess incarned Kamuri, Amaterasu, Linbo, Tsugayomi, Flame Control, Akotsu Natsukami, ability to use Genjutsu, or how am I supposed to explain the Genjutsu? Creating illusions with which resides in your mind, with you, not other people seeing it, only you seeing it. That's how I'm gonna specify Genjutsu in this one. Ability to predict movements. Ability to push and pull. The ability to soul steal, chakra steal, and the ability to summon the king of hell. And the ability to cut but missiles and like rockets and laser beams. The ability to do that. You also call an ability called body switch, or another ability called Shinra Tensei. I actually don't know what Shinra Tensei is. I don't think that's the word it was supposed to use, but I'm gonna classify it as Shinra Tensei because that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's the ability where that makes that big ball, the big ceiling ball thing that Pain tried to do with Naruto, but Naruto escaped with the Nine Tails. That thing, I can't remember it right now, so please forgive me. And he had another chapter named Summoning, or no, Sin. No, he had an ability called Susano, which he also read up on, which was the perfect defense and offense, and also had multiple weapons, including the drill sword, Madara's 2 katanas, Sasuke's bow and arrow, and Itachi's Totsuka blade. I also had another ability called Creation of All Things. Now, let me explain Creation of All Things if you do not know, because it's not a very well-known Renegon ability. It's not used that much because no person really could use it except Madara and Hagoromo. Now, damn well Sasuke can't even use it at this point in time. Creation of All Things is just how it sounds. It can create anything, but it demands a certain amount of chakra from you. Gladly, he has all the chakras of all of the Uchihas, so he has a bunch of mana. I'll explain to you what happened to chakra and what happened to Asta's mana and why he has mana. Then there was another chapter. Well, no, there was another ability called Zetsu. I'll explain Zetsu now. Zetsu is basic. Most people know what a Zetsu is, but Zetsu is what came from the, what do you call it now? Ghetto Mazu or Ghetto Maza. If you know what that is, if you don't watch Naruto Shippuden, you're not gonna understand what that is. That's the Ghetto Maza, the thing that was supposed to store the tailed beast and the shell of the tentacles. Facts. Anyways, that also housed the Zetsus. Zetsus are basically the people that were captured in the Tsugayomi when Kage was around. The people that were captured, they were then turned into Zetsus because of Kaguya. And I'm saying, yeah, that's technically what happened. Okay, so that's spitting bare facts. We also had another chapter called Senjutsu, which you could understand is basically buffing him up, or a enhancer. But he only had one spell, not one. To him is a spell, and it was called Monk Sage Mode. Then there was another chapter, but it only had two, which was summoning, which he had snakes and crows. Then there was another chapter labeled power. He could use fire style, stuff like majestic destroyer flame and phoenix flower. He also had water style, water dragon and raging waves, and water bullet. We also had lightning style, lightning stream and Shidori, and earth style, earth wall, wood style, storm release, and yin and yang release. He also had his own personal. And there was also another chapter labeled Inherited Magic. Called Inherited Magic, which under Inherited Magic had light magic. Also had speed increase, light, and also had the spell Light Sword, Light Spear, Light Whip, Light Arrow, Light Beams, and Light Healing. We also saw that there was also spells that were locked to him. Something called the Rene Sharingan, and the abilities of Rene Sharingan, which I will state when Asta gets his perfect blue form. If you do not know what that is, well, most of you wouldn't know if you don't read the manga. If you're an anime only watcher, I'm sometimes an anime only watcher, so I don't know why I'm talking like I read manga every day. If you couldn't hear me, I'm sorry. I'll do another video. If you couldn't hear me or it was very hard to hear me, I'll just do another video because I realized that music was way too loud. Anyways, I'm still gonna go on because I'm not trying. You have something called wind bullets and rising wind, a lot of stuff. Okay. Asta then went to train and test out. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. He also had another chapter labeled Weapons. The first weapon he saw was the Demon Slayer sword, which he knew he used before, which was the first weapon he used. He then saw the Gunbai. And then under that he saw the Tonto. Then he saw the Grass Cutter. And then under that he saw the Fan Scythe. Now I'm going to tell you the names who they would belong to if you didn't watch Naruto and you didn't realize this. The Gunbai was Madara's fan, and the Tonto was Shisui's sword, and the Grass Cutter was Sasuke's sword, and the Scythe was Obito's scythe. But now let me explain. Obito technically didn't have the scythe. He actually just had the fan and the scythe. But so did Madara, and I just needed to give Obito a weapon, so I'm gonna give him the scythe. And I wanted them to be separate. But at the end of the scythe, this still has chain, because that looks pretty good. So Asta went out to train. Let me show you what Asta's hair look like, not what he looks like. Asta's hair looks like young Madara's hair. So that's how Asta's hair looks. He then went off into the forest to train, which was actually by the wizard king, by the big skeleton thingamajobber. Yeah, that where he met a man, but I still can't remember his name. So we're going to not say that. So he just trained with the man, but he had everything that man taught him. He could do it at least in 1 second because he has muscle memory. If you don't know what muscle memory is that Asta has something. It's like he did it before, but he never did it. And like if he did something and you forgot you did it, it's muscle memory because you could be able to do it without you even knowing you could. That's how best I can explain muscle memory to you guys. Anyways. Front way, back way. Sorry. Anyways. He trained with his Gunbai, which he also mastered and realized that he can absorb magic and use the magic to power his strikes, to power the powerful wing blast when he swings the fan. He mastered the Tanto. Yeah, he realized the Tanto is more useful for swift and fast movement. The grass cutter was for kind of brute strength, so you could be able to parry and block other people's strikes when it came to you. Scythe was just for basic execution. It was to kill you and nothing but that. It was to kill you. And he realized his Demon Slayer sword. His Demon Slayer sword could negate magic and also cut magic in half. Now, note, all the weapons that I stated the blades are pitch black. So is the Demon Slayer sword, but the handle of the Demon Slayer sword is absolutely red. And the Gunbai is absolutely black, still with the bandage on it. And the only thing that's noticeable is the red tomos in the fan. The grass cutter has the same handle it had let me explain that one. The grass cutter has the handle that Sasuke had in Shippuden. I do not know if the sword that Sasuke has now is the grass cutter or it isn't. I really don't know, so I technically can't say. But it has the same handle though. And the scythe, it was always pitch black. It was always pitch black. Can't really say anything. So Asta goes and trains hard, and Asta's as ripped as he was in canon, but he's as tall as and on this way he found a bird that he later named Sakura. He realized that the bird had mana around it, so he absorbed the mana from the bird, and the spell broke, or the curse that Sakura was placed under broke, and out came a beautiful looking girl with you know how Sakura looks, but she kept her wings, which she also could retract. And she introduced herself to us, and the reason why she was with him, and the reason for his grimoire. Us didn't really mind, and just didn't really care really, and they started training together. Being in contact with Asta gave her a 4-leaf grimoire. By the way, I'm changing the whole thing to what grimoire does, and the more powerful you are, not the more powerful you are. If you came in contact with someone that has immense power, and you're physically connected, you will grow in power, and your grimoire will grow in power too. That's how I'm going to explain it. Anyways. He trains with her, and She told she told Asta from the magic that he absorbed from the chain mage. She took it and integrated it into her grimoire, giving her chain sealing magic, where she could wrap people in chains and actually seal them into her book, which also has a special page for sealing, or what she likes to call it, sealing page. She also grows in power and becomes about half of Asha's strength when he became half of Asha's strength. Okay. They then go back because they haven't went to the house since. They then go back to to the to the the mansion and greet to go to the magic kingdom. And I forgot to add in this skill, which I also realized that it was a skill, float or flight, because Madara had it, and it's actually a skill. So yeah, so I still learns how to fly and just float really, and no, was training harder so he could fly with his wind magic, which also could use wind magic. By the way, no flex. Anyways, Asta, they and Sekiri just sprouts her wings and they all fly to the kingdom. When reaching the kingdom, they're handing their grimoires to the people that did it. When they saw grimoire, they were shocked to see a commoner have such high grimoire. When they got to Sekiri, they were astounded again, but they kind of didn't know anything about her. She was probably a royal that her family got something happened to her family. She was probably a royal. They didn't really know. Neither did I. I don't know if she's a royal or I don't know what she is. Okay, if you can tell me down in the comments, please do, because I am lost with all of that shit. Anyways. Now he bumps into Yami and that whole situation happening, but Asta piled off Yami's hand off of his head this time. Well, no, it was really on his head. It was on his shoulder, and Yami was squeezing his shoulder, and Asta was able to pry off Yami's hand. Then he went on to do the test. The first test, I believe, is what's called it now. I think. Was the flying test. Asta could use a broom, but he decides that he doesn't want to, and he just flows with his skill, and which he narrows down as skills, and which was labeled as it was a skill that he had. Then it came to creation, and Asta used his light magic to create a clover. Now let's explain Asta's light magic. Now I haven't really touched on it too much and I did that purposely. Now you see yin or yang, I can't remember which one is. One of it is light, and yeah, one of it is light. At some point the music will shut off in the video because of some technical difficulties. I don't know when it's gonna stop, so note that. So yin or yang combined with the light magic, making the light magic pure white. Now making it immune to any sort of dark magic or dark. You see that light magic was the initial weakness. No, the dark magic is light magic's weakness is dark magic, but the yin or yang, I can't remember which one, amplifying the light magic so it would be holy. It's called holy light magic, which Asta calls it. and able to cut right through dark magic and hit his opponent. So yeah, people like Yami and that people that have um holy, I mean like dark magic, it really does nothing to Asta's light magic. It just actually does absolutely nothing. So yeah, Asta. Then we go on to the aim test, which Asta uses all five mana releases, which I'm gonna call it because it's not chakra releases, mana releases. He used water, wind, fire, and lightning to hit the targets, which the captains were astounded at. They had five elements. They were just actually dumb fucked. Really, they were dumb fucked. Anyways, then it came to the combat portion, which I'm, cause a lack of better words, I technically don't know who to pair up Asta with. I don't want to pair up Asta with because Asta will completely demolish and people might not even pick him. So I'm not gonna do that. So I'm still gonna stick with that Seke guy, Seke, and yeah, Seke ain't got no chance. Like he ain't got no chance. He didn't have a chance against normal Asta. He definitely got a chance of Prince Asta. What you mean? What you mean? What's the vibe, bruh? But honestly, put RP. But down in the comments, put Prince Asta if you know Prince Asta. Which and by the way, I will be always making Asta a prince in this one because I just like I like I like how I'm gonna supposed to explain this. I like Asta being a prince because if a prince can be so nice, it just changes the whole outlook on life, right? So yeah. And certain people who know the royal family crest saw the crest on Asta's necklace and realized that was a royal crest. And some people have the idea that Asta was the lost prince of the Clover Kingdom. Now, like in my many other Black Clover what ifs, Asta, the king, the I don't know, still don't know his last name, and Asta's last name I'm never gonna say because that shit, that last name of that king is hard as fuck to say, and I'm not even gonna pronounce it. Sobeliban. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's Sobeliban or something. I'm sorry. Just forgive me for that. But hey, what can you do, my man? Like, cut me some slack. Cut me some slack. Anyways, so Asta. So people know it. Some people have the assumption that Asta is the prince. Now, when it came to selections, everyone raised their hands for and Sekiro actually did pretty good, and she also had a 4-leaf clover, Babing, and everybody raised her hands for him too. No, Asta went second, and Asta picked the Black Bulls, and everybody was shocked. They didn't understand why Asta picked the Black Bulls. Asta then said that he could not be on the same team as his brother. Asta then rebutted to say that was going for the best Magic Squad. Then that meant that Asta had to go for the worst Magic Squad. Understand what I'm saying? If you don't, I don't know what you're doing. So basically, Asta doesn't want to be on the same Magic team as and he wants to be the polar opposite of Not wants to be the polar opposite of but you understand what I'm saying, right? He doesn't want to be on the same team, and he doesn't want to be in any other teams, but he wants like Captain Yami's team. He didn't ask Captain Yami if he beats him, could he become the vice captain of the Black Bulls. Now this was shocking because there was no rules surrounding that it could not happen. But it was never really brought up because nobody really thought that they could beat the captain really. And Yami chuckled and decided that he was gonna try and see what this boy was. Asta then put out his grimoire and activated his goddamn Jesus piece, his fucking grass cutter. And when people saw this sword, the power that was emanating from this sword, when I tell you emanating, right, was emanating, because Asta was channeling to his light magic to the sword too, so the edge of the sword became a bright white color. So when Yami and Asta was going at it, Yami threw some fireballs and coupled with some wind attacks, which also Yami had to absorb his black hole. Asta then body flickered at the side of Yami and kicked him in the back on his side. Yami flipped over and sent a and slashed at you at Asta, but Asta blocked with his grass cutter. He then he backflipped and put the grass cutter back into the grimoire and pulled out his gunbai. He then swung the gunbai, and a huge gust of wind came from the gunbai and propelled Yami into the into the into the into the into the wall. Yami Yami was on the edge of his back because Asta put back the sword and put back the gunbai into the grimoire, and then he flew up in the air and said heavenly descent, and a ton of pure white light magic spears appeared in the sky, and Asta told Yami to give up. Yami then surpassed his limits and did a dimension slash, unlocking that spell he used, the dimension slash. It is pretty fucking cool if you ask me, buddy. And Asta just negated it with his anti-magic sword, slicing the dimension slash in half. Yami didn't have any more mana to go along, and he passed out. When Asta reached the floor, he said one thing: "My captain is not weak. It's just that I am too strong." Activating his semi-perfect Susanoo. It's not the perfect Susanoo, but it's not the complete finished Susanoo. He then six wait six hands came out of the pitch black Susanoo with red eyes, and each the Madara's sword, Shisui's drill sword, Sasuke's bow and arrow, and Itachi's Totsuka blade, along with two other swords, which was personally to Asta's, came out. And he then says, "My captain is not weak." And Asta became the standing vice captain of the Black Bulls from then on. Then when Yami gained back consciousness, and everyone was shocked about Asta, right? This man beat a magic captain and showed his overwhelming power to everyone, just stating that Ayami wasn't weak, it was just that he was too strong. Everybody thought he was cocky, but they didn't realize that Asta wasn't that type of person. He didn't look down at people, didn't have a condescending attitude towards no one. Yeah. Asta Sekiri then chose the Black Bulls, with Sekiri and Asta going to the Black Bulls, with Finral offering them to teleport them to the Black Bulls, but Asta told him to don't even worry about it. He then put Finral in a genjutsu, showing him where the location of the Black Bull's hideout was, and creating and comboing them back to the base. Finral was surprised about this, because he thought this was some type of spatial magic. Asta told him this was an ability, or no, this was one of his visual prowess, called Komui. You could also turn intangible and send stuff into a different dimension, and it doesn't have to be a next place. He can just send something into a dimension and teleport it right back out. Yet Finral was surprised because he couldn't do this with spatial magic. They then got to the Black Clover hideout with Asta and Sakuri appearing there. They then opened the door and everything happened from there. The fireball came to hit Asta, but Asta didn't even flinch and the fireball didn't even hit him. With him using wind magic, which wind magic, I don't know, wind magic is not weak to fire magic. When he just created a windshield around himself and the fire magic just bounced off. Then Yami just punched the wall and told everyone to shut up, and then Yami told them to meet their new stand-in vice captain. Everybody looked at Asta because they could see that Asta was tall, but he was no less than 15 years old. And they were wondering, that's their new vice captain. And I don't know, I still can't remember, I just said his name. Magna came up and asked Asta if he could do the initiation, and which he then realized that Asta didn't have a cloak. That means he was newly appointed a magic knight, but he didn't understand why he was the new vice captain. But he was still gonna put him through, and he would get his answers later. Asta accepted and completely correct Menru's insolence. But he didn't say that, and no one thought of it. But that's what it looks like to me, because that was complete insolence. It's Asta, the prince. Prince Asta. What you thought was going to happen? Finral was gonna get not Finral. Magnum was gonna get his ass cheeks clapped. Like, bruh. Anyways, so Yami then explained what happened and how Asta was the new vice captain, and how Asta was the new vice captain, and how Asta beat Yami and made a bet with Yami, and Yami lost, and yeah. So everyone was shocked. Asta was so powerful, he could beat Yami, and pretty easy too. So Asta introduced himself, and a member with white hair, I can't remember her eyes, so don't even trip. It was Noelle, right? She came out and she saw Asta, and Asta saw her, and her heart skipped a beat. Her ring that Asta gave her years ago started to glow, emanating that it was close to the person that created the ring. Noelle then ran to Asta, and Asta stood there and caught her, and they started to talk, and Noelle asked Asta if he was gonna fulfill his promise, and Asta he chuckled and he kissed Noelle, which was also surprising to other magic knights, because shut your ass up. No, pause for a sec, buddies. So I think I left off at Asta and Noelle kissed, and Asta then caught up with Noelle, and Noelle realized that Asta changed a little bit by getting a little more handsomer and getting a little more way stronger, and realized that Asta was the vice captain, and she congratulated Asta. She congratulated Asta and told him congratulations on being the vice captain of the Black Bulls. And Asta said it was no biggie. And they went to bed after that, because I needed to make some changes. Now, Asta realized that the state of the Black Bulls, place. Now, if you don't know, sealing magic or which would be classified as sealing magic. Madara, Itachi, and Obito and Sasuke could use some form of sealing magic. It's only Naruto that couldn't use sealing magic. Although he was a fucking Uzumaki and couldn't use a bit of sealing magic. Only one sealing magic that he could have used. That was that six path Shenron Tensei dumb shit, right? It fucking annoyed me when I figured out Naruto's heritage. It was like, bruh, how you gonna disgrace your whole clan and only know one sealing jutsu? And the fact that you can't even use it by yourself. You need Sasuke to do it. It just annoyed me, right? Anyways, little rant there. Anyways, he then went outside and did some hand signs and then said, four pillar castle. What's the four pillar castle? And placed his hands on the ground and a giant. When I say gigantic, no, I didn't say it properly. Gigantic. Ting badaman. Gigantic. Gigantic castle rose from the ground. Now Asta created a scent of smell, hearing, touch, and feeling barrier around the Black Bulls home, or in the Black Bulls, whatever you want to call it, hideout, right? So they can't hear, sense, smell, or even feel anything that's going on outside of the outside of the hideout, right? The house, right? So Asta then uses creation of all things, making some shadow clones, or at least 13 shadow clones, making them use 13 of all creation of all things to make black black bricks, which is, if you don't know what black bricks are just black bricks. Actually, 2 times stronger than normal bricks, if you didn't know what black bricks are. So yeah. So I still had black bricks. And he also made gold bricks and stuff to put on the house. The clones then used their magnet release lightning attraction and spread it around a castle, all in, and some of them make quartz tiles and tiles and stuff like that. So when they activated the jutsu, the black bricks and the golden bricks attracted to the castle, and the inside and outside, and the quartz planks, whatever you want to call them, went inside the house and went on the floors, and the bricks came inside too. And it create and I still use sand and heated it up to make glass and placed it in the castles on the windows. He then used Fire Cell Majestic Destroyer Flame to clear the area and started to make he made a garden. He made a garden, an arena, a training area, a closed store, really, and these are all outside of the castle. A closed store and then he created Zetsus to go inside of the castle and prepare stuff like beds, and also sent clones with clones with them to do creation of all things to make beds. And he kind of copied what the people liked in the house, and just copied everything that they liked and wrote it down and put it in their particular rooms. He then created a pool, and he made the Zetsu wear tuxedos, butler clothes, and created a pool using water and earth magic. Then he created a bar that was inside of the castle, a lunchroom that was also inside of the castle, and then he created a bank that was outside of the castle, and he 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 put the paperwork for Yami to sign everything, and he created an office for himself and Yami. And then he went off to do missions and went straight to the Wizard King actually to do missions. And Wizard King addressed him as the vice captain of the Black Bulls because he heard what Asta could do and did, and he gives Asta a multitude of missions, which Asta did, and he actually fixed the negative stars, and he gained 30 stars at the end of it. Now Asta then went back, and the night hasn't finished yet because now Asta could make clones, so it was commit clones and commit clones, so it was easier to get the stars and all. He then went in the mansion, and since the sound, smell, and stuff, he changed up the mansion. He changed up the hideout, which was where the places was. He then created a. He went underground and he basically created a generator using lightning chakra or lightning magic to create a generator using sage mana, so it would continuously absorb the sage mana that was in the nature and convert it into electricity, then lighten up the castle and the Black Bull's hideout. He replaced all the candles and lanterns with actual lights that he thought of when he was a kid, and he made the Black Bulls hideout into a mansion, and in the middle of the mansion it had a big table. This was meant for it to be its meeting room. Ash then went outside and did some handstands on all the trees that were in the vicinity of the Black Bull's hideout, receded into the ground, and then came out brand new lush trees. He then went outside of the Black Bulls where there was no trees and created gates, and then proceeded to make a barrier. So no magic, and made a surveillance house inside of the castle, also using, let's say Itachi knew the jutsu that the third used to spy on Naruto, to that orb thing, so he integrated that into a security watch kind of stuff. And by the end of the day, Asta was tired. He hit his new bed that was actually pretty big. Hit his new bed and waited for the Black Bulls to awake, all of them. And he released the barrier so they could actually hear stuff. So then all the Black Bulls woke up and saw that their house changed, which they were surprised about. But they went outside. The first thing they saw was lush trees and a gate in the far distance, which they were also shocked by. But then when they turned around, they saw a huge black and golden castle which on two pillars of the castle had the Black Bull sign, and in the middle of the pathway there was a big and bold black and golden Black Bull's sign. They then went into the castle and saw that there was rooms for them, and there was a bar, and there was a stall, there was many things, and they saw a map, and they saw where everything was, like the lunchroom, everything that they saw. They then realized that there was rooms that had their names on it. Everyone went to their prospective room, but Noel and Sekiri was in joined rooms, as in they all had the same room, which was Asta's, Noel's, and Sekiri's. They were puzzled by this, and then they went into their rooms that all of them slept in, and they saw a humongous bed, and just like, look at the most fancy thing you could find, and that was their room. Fancy room that you ever in your life, in your whole entire existence seen. That was their room. Noelle was shocked, and then she saw Asta on the bed, just sleeping, and saw the black circles that was under Asta's eyes. Then 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 she didn't. Noelle decided not to wake Asta up, so the secretary and closed the door. Then I went outside into the middle of the castle and saw that they also had the negative stars were cleared up, and they also had 30 positive stars, which they were completely surprised about. But that's where I'm gonna end off this video, guys. This is a pretty long video because I I want this series, and if you want me to do it, guys, I'll do a My Hero. And if you have any other anime suggestions which I should do the Uchiha series on, please comment down below. Which other series I actually could browse through One Piece, not browse through them. I'd be lying. I could go and try to do a speed up One Piece, and like a map, and just speed up, like, if you know what I mean, right? But that's where I end off this video. This is where I actually finished. This is where the first part of my script ends. So the second part of my script is probably gonna be tomorrow. I have the all the way to the beach episode. I call it the beach episode, but it's the beach arc, and where Noelle wears that bikini. I call it that, but it's just like the beach arc, right? I have up to there. So do I also have the light magic one up there too. So that's why I'm bringing it out now. And if you didn't know, light magic one is actually further developed than the the Uchiha series. I left it off at a good part. So this is where I'm gonna end it off. Bye, guys.